Hello again. So today, this is actually going to be your last assignment before your final. So this is going to be your last little bit of review, and we're going to look at solving rational equations. So for these, we're going to look at how we can solve these equations, what we can do to work through them quickly and efficiently, how we can find a common denominator, and all that fun stuff. Previously, we did look at finding or simplifying complex expressions, and that's going to be the same type of thing that we look at here. We're still going to find a common denominator and multiply to get rid of it. So I'm going to do a few of these with you, and then you'll be set free. So and this is the last time you're going to have to watch one of my videos, so you're welcome. All right. So this is number 2. And when we look at this, we have to make sure that we're going to get rid of all of the fractions, right? Let me move my paper real quick so I can just flip it over. So remember when we had equations that look like this, like 1/4 x squared plus 1/7 x minus, like, I don't know, like 1/20 is equal to 7/60, or yeah, like 62 or something, right? Fractions really suck, so we would get rid of all of our fractions to make the problem easier for us to work with, right? The same thing is going to happen here. Even though we've got variables in the denominator, it makes no difference. We're still going to find a common denominator and get rid of all of the fractions that are down here. So if I look, I know I'm going to have an n squared at least, but I have to have a 2 in order to make this not be a 1/2 anymore. So I'm going to multiply everything by a 2n squared. Okay? If I multiply everything by 2n squared, then I can cancel about most of my things as I go through. So then I'm going to have all that's left for my first term is a 2. All that's left here is a 2n, and then it's going to be equals 1. So it took that equation that looked like junk to start. I guarantee most of you probably looked at that and died a little inside and thought, oh God, we have to do these things again. But then as soon as we get rid of those fractions, it turns it into a completely doable problem. I can subtract 2 from both sides, and then I can divide by 2, so I've got n is -1/2. I'm done. That's it. I don't have anything else to do. Okay, let's look at another one. Let's look at, if we look at these first ones here, that's all I'm going to do for these first 6. If you look, all of that you're going to need to do here is find a common denominator, and it's just one term, right? You just have one monomial. You don't have, an x plus 3 or anything to deal with here. So you can figure out what you've got to multiply by to make everything go away. These next ones, that's where things get a little bit more confusing. I'm going to go ahead and do number 7 and then number 10 for you, okay? So number 7, I've got 1/v plus a 3v plus 12 all over v squared minus 5v equals 7v minus 56 all over v squared minus 5v. Now, in order to make sure that we're multiplying by the common denominator, the best thing that we could do is factor everything that's in my denominators. I don't want to worry about factoring the tops first because that's not going to help us much. We want to start with our denominators so that we can figure out what our common denominator is. So my first term, that's already factored. This one, I can factor out a v. So I've got 3v plus 12 all over v times v minus 5. Then I've got a 7v minus 56 all over a v, not 7 squared, v times v minus 5, right? So now I can easily see my common denominator is just going to be this thing because it has a v in it too, right? So if I multiply everything by a v times v minus 5, v times v minus 5, v times v minus 5, right? And I'm not including all my parentheses like I should, but you probably will. My v is going to cancel here, so I've got v minus 5 plus 3v plus 12 is equal to 7v minus 56. And from here, I just need to combine like terms, get my v's together on one side, and then simplify. Excuse me. Oh, goodness. Okay. So I'm going to combine like terms on the left. So I've got 4v plus 7 is equal to 7v minus 56. I'm going to subtract my 4v. oops, what am I doing? 7 equals 3v minus 56. I can add 56 to both sides. The sneeze made my brain quit working. 63 equals 3v, sorry, and then divide both sides by 3, and then I get that v is equal to 21. Oops, you can't see that. There we go. Okay, so with this one, I just want to recap what the thought process was, right? The first step, we factored, right? We factored the denominators. Oops, you can't see that. You factored the denominators to find the common denominator, right? We need to make sure that all of the pieces that we need are included in the thing that we multiply by. Then we multiplied and got everything to cancel, and from there, that is a nice linear equation to solve. There's nothing too crazy going on there, okay? So let's look at number 10. Okay. So for number 10, I've got 1 over r minus 2 plus 1 over r squared minus 7r plus 10 is equal to 6 over r minus 2. So once again, my first step, I need to factor this. I've got to factor it so that I know what it's made up of. And so this factors into an r minus 2, r minus 5, right? My signs are the same. They're both negative, and I need a product of 10, so that's 2 and 5. That also adds up to a negative 7. So now I can see what my common denominator is going to be. I can just multiply everything by this because it includes that r minus 2. So I've got r minus 2, r minus 5, r minus 2, r minus 5, r minus 2, r minus 5. So here my r minus 2's cancel, so I've got r minus 5. Everything cancels here, so I've got plus 1. My r minus 2's cancel, so I've got 6 times r minus 5. Okay? So r minus 4 is equal to 6r minus 30. So I've got 5r minus 30 is equal to negative 4. I can add 30 to both sides. And so that's going to be a 26 is equal to 5r. So r is 26 over 5. Right? Sometimes your answers are going to be really nice and pretty, like the previous one where it's 21. Other times it's not. But remember, you're not only going to have my worked out answers, but I've also included, so if you notice, the worksheet is 4 pages long, right? The first 2 pages are the problems. The second 2 pages include the answers. Right? I wanted you to have that so that you can just check your answers as you go, and then if you need to, you can pull up my worked out solutions. If you're not getting the right answer, you can see how I did it and go from there. Okay? All right, so that was number 10. On the next page, just a second. See? Even when you're not here, I'm just as organized as if you were. Ooh, that's a good one. Okay. So let's look at number 14. I've got 1 is equal to 1 over x squared plus 2x plus x minus 1 all over x. Okay? So here, I'm going to factor this piece out. This is going to be an x times x plus 2. Right? So I can easily see that this is going to be my common denominator again. Sometimes I might have to multiply things together like I did with looking at that complex one that we looked at on the previous video, but for these, sometimes they're already worked out for us, which is nice. By factoring it, I see it includes that x. I have to remember that this is over 1, right? So I need to make sure to multiply it by it, but I don't have to worry about including it in my denominator. So I multiply everything by it. The last time I had you guys solve one of these, this is the one that caused a lot of problems, was when there was just a number on the other side, because this number didn't get changed. You multiplied these by your common denominator and got everything to cancel, but you didn't multiply the other side, which caused some problems when you were figuring out your answer. Okay, so here I'm going to be left with an x times x plus 2. Here everything's going to cancel, so I've just got a 1. And then here, I'm going to have an x minus 1 times an x plus 2, because my x cancels, right? And this is where we have to remember, you've got to multiply everything out before you can combine like terms. So I've got an x squared plus 2x is equal to, over here, I've got 1 plus x squared. This is going to be plus x minus 2. Okay, and then x squared, oops, hold on. Yeah, no, I want to keep that there. I'm going to combine like terms on the other side before I move stuff around. X squared plus x, and then, oh goodness, minus 1. So now I can move my x squared to both sides. Those are going to cancel, right? So then I can bring my x over here. So subtract x from both sides. So I've got x is equal to negative 1. And that's it. Okay. Let's look at one more, and then we'll be done with videos for the year. It's going to be your last one. Kind of sad. I would be asking you which one of these you want to do. They're all really similar with the way that they work out, right? You know, here you can find your common denominator. Here your common denominator is going to be these two things multiplied together. Here is very similar to like the one we just did. Here they're going to be multiplied together. That one's in gray. Ooh, you know what? I'm going to do number 18 because I think that one will be fun. Let's look at 18, and this is going to be my last one for the year. Okay, so a minus 2, and then a plus 3 minus 1 is equal to 3 over a plus 2. And this is an example where everything's already factored, right? I don't need to factor it out and see what it's made of. And I know what each piece is made of. This is an a plus 3, this is an a plus 2, but my common denominator is going to have to be those two things multiplied together. A plus 3 times a plus 2. A plus 3 times a plus 2. A plus 3 times a plus 2. Let me make sure I wrote that down right. Yeah, I did. Okay, so this is the piece that is a little bit different. I've got a lot more multiplication that's going to go on with this problem. As you notice, there's going to be a lot of the distributive property, and then who knows what we're going to end up with as it works out. So in this one, my a plus 3 cancels, so I've got a minus 2 times a plus 2, and then it's going to be minus 1 times all of this stuff, a plus 3, a plus 2. Here my a plus 2 is going to cancel, so I've just got 3 times a plus 3. This is a sum and difference, right? So I know that my product is going to be a squared minus 4. Here, I'm going to leave my minus out in front. I'm just going to distribute this out first. So I've got an a squared plus 5a plus 6. Then over here, I've got a 3a plus 9, right? You want to make sure, pay attention as you work through with your distributive property. I left this negative out in front because this one I have to make sure to make it go all the way through, right? It's really easy to get it to be a negative a squared, but a lot of times these ones get forgotten on that sign change. So I've got a squared minus 4 minus a squared minus 5a minus 6 equals 3a plus 9. And then, so those cancel out. So I've got minus 5a minus 10 equals 3a plus 9. Did I do that right? I think so. So I'm going to add 5a to both sides. Negative 10 equals 8a plus 9. I can subtract 9 from both sides. So negative 19 equals 8a. So a is negative 19 over 8. Let me double check. I believe that's right. That sounds right. Yeah, that's right. Oh, and you can't even see it. Sorry, wasn't paying attention. Okay. So as you look through these, do your best. Make sure to check your answers. I know in class I would harp on you guys about that nonstop. You have to check your answers to make sure that you're doing these right. Remember, it's not just about getting the work done. It's about making sure that you understand it and that you can do it yourself. If you're not checking your answers and if you're not understanding, then it's not going to be something that you're going to be able to do when it comes time for a test. Okay? Or when it comes time for doing this even more in pre-calc next year. So, bye. I miss you guys, and I wish that we were in class because this would be a whole lot more fun. So, I hope you're well, and please reach out and let me know if you need anything at all. Adios.